first open the application, you'll be met with this screen. Here you can enter a license key to activate a license period. If you already have an active license period, the new period will simply be added on top of your current license period. Let's try this now. As you can see, the amount of days in my license period has just increased. You can return to the screen anytime by pressing the Activate key button. Finally, you can use this program in English, German, and Dutch. This is the camera panel. In this panel you can connect to, get a live view from, and take photos with your thermal camera. If we press the connect button, we will see a list of any thermal camera currently connected to your computer. We select it and it will open the live view of the camera's vision. We can also change the thermal palette of the camera. Finally, we press the take snapshot button to take a photo of the current frame in the live view, and we can add it to our image collection for later use. This is the images panel. Here you can add, remove, and select any thermal image you want to use in your application. As you can see, we already have a thermal image here. This image was taken with the live view in our camera panel. We know this because it is outlined by a red line. This means that it's currently not saved on the computer. If you want to do this, you press the Save All button and select the location where you want to store the image. If you have a thermal image that was already saved on your hard drive, those images will simply be saved on that same location. If you want to add a new image, you can press the Add Image button, manually select it, and it will be added to your image collection. You can also select a folder, and any thermal image in that folder will automatically be added to your application. In order to use an image, you can double click it or use the Set Selected Image as Active button to turn it into the active image. This is the image that will be used in the Analysis and Grid View page. Finally, you can remove an image by clicking it, removing Selected Image, or clicking the Remove All image, which will clear your entire collection. This is the Analysis panel. Here you can analyze and modify some of the data in your thermal image. To start, you can change the visual representation of the temperatures. For example, by moving up this slider, any value below the selected temperature will become black. This is useful for highlighting important areas. Otherwise, you can select the Auto button, and the darkest point will immediately be set to the lowest and the lightest to the highest temperature of the image. Some images also include a digital image. This allows for a various number of fusion modes like MSX, blending, or thermal fusion interval. With the interval, only temperatures within the set temperature interval will be represented thermally. Otherwise, it will use the digital image instead. You also have the option to include various kinds of measurements. These include single points, ellipses, boxes, and lines. These can continuously be moved and reshaped in your image. Any data they will provide will be shown in the box down below. Finally, you have the option to highlight the hot spot and the cold spot of these measurement areas. You can also add notes into the image data. This means that even if you send the image to, for example, another computer, that note will still be there. Let's add one now. Call it demo, and we say, hello, this is a demo. You hit save, and now the note is part of the image. Next, you can also modify the parameters of the image. This means changing the various parameters, how the image data is calculated and to what temperature it is. Finally, you can take a look and modify some of the image details. This is things like when the image was taken, what kind of camera it was used, or the thermal unit the temperature is represented in. This can also be modified, as you can see here. This is the grid configuration panel. Here you'll be able to configure and design the grids that will later be used to compare the progress between two different images. You can choose between a set of predefined images, or if none of these suit your needs, you can use custom measurements. To use custom measurements, you'll first go to the analysis page, add a custom region, go back to the grid panel, click the button, and you can see that the measurement we just added is now used as the custom grid. In the case of this photo, we are using a back, so we can use one of the predefined grids, then torso, back. In case the grid doesn't contrast well with the photo, you can also manually change the color. but let's stick with white for now. Of course, you can see that the grid size and shape does not match with the photo. That's why you can make the grid bigger and smaller, change its position, and also adjust its shape. Let's cut to reshaping this grid to make it suit better with the image. And this is what it looks like when we're done. Now it fits perfectly to the body. This is the results panel. Here you can compare multiple thermal images to see the difference in temperature between them. You start by selecting a before and after image. The change in temperature is calculated through the difference in temperature between various sections of a previously configured grid. This is the grid that you designed in grid config. In this case, this is the grid of the front of the legs. Then you press calculate result and you'll be met with something like this. This is a visualization of the difference in temperature between various sections of the grid. The redder a section became, the hotter, the bluer, the colder it became. In the case of very small or very big temperature changes, you can also choose to increase or decrease the sensitivity. This determines the degree of color change that a temperature change causes. As you can see, I've now raised the sensitivity and the change becomes more intense. Finally, you also have the option to select a detailed mode. Here, the color is determined not in a per section manner within the grid, but in a per point manner. Finally, you have the option to click on these grids to see the exact changes here. This is the report panel. Here you can automatically generate a PDF report about your thermal images and anything you may have done with them. If you want to create a page for a single image, you simply click it and it'll create a page like this, containing the image with any measurements you may have added drawn on top of it, any general information you need for the image, notes you may have added, and the data of set measurement zones. If you did a progress comparison beforehand, you can also choose to add this by clicking Add Result. This will create a page like this with the visualization, information regarding any sections you selected, which images you used to generate this visualization, and a separate page for the images used. Finally, you can add general information which might be important for the report. Let's start with the subject info. In our case, let's say a back patient who was 33 years old and he got in a skating injury. The company at which he took this photo was Sensor GmbH. And finally, any general remarks you might know. For example, let's say the patient needs to return in 2 weeks for a checkup. Click Update Info and it automatically gets added to your report. Finally, you hit Export, select the location, and voila, automatically generated report with all the info of the images you used and anything you might have done to them.